This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel said it best, the whole of the Auburn experience. It encompasses a wide variety of things, yes, places, but also people and just crazy amounts of things that you can put in the Auburn experience. But at its core, it is all about our sports, our culture, and yes, our family. And because it is all about family, that means that you got to have some Auburn people here to talk about the Auburn experience. I'm here, your host, Kyle Loomis, and the best co-host in all the land, Mr. Austin Scott, is back in the house for episode 26. Welcome back into the chair, Austin.
You're buttering me up, which means I've either done something wrong or you're going to tell me something that's not good. But it's been a good week, so I don't know what there is to tell me that's not positive on the Auburn front. But I'm more than happy to be here for our Justin Garrett / Anders Carlson episode number 26.
And / so many other things that you could put in there. There are 26s that we're just leaving out right now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, look, it's not the most sexy number, I'm not going to lie, but 26 is one that I'm probably leaving off someone great. So apologies for any that are listening.
That is not the way I thought you would describe the number 26, sexy. But here we are. It's a family show after all, but that's where it already went starting off. For those that are regulars here on the Auburn experience, you'll know that we usually spend the first segment we do about 3 10-minute segments roughly, doing a little Auburn potpourri, just bouncing around to a bunch of smaller topics. There's too much to talk about tonight, so we've got to hit 3 big topics. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our first one tonight. It's one that's kind of at the very beginning of the week that kind of got a little bit of news. We even had a conversation with Clint Richardson of the Auburn Uniform Database talking about Auburn statues, because the circulation started going around about John Cohen addressing the need to have a representative of women's athletics have a statue, and just who's going to be the next statue. And he did address those questions about it, and did say it is being talked about as we speak. So we talked about the logistics of who deserves a statue with Clint a lot, and then obviously made some predictions, a pretty obvious prediction about who that's going to be. But we will talk about it a little bit here with Austin, because I know he's probably got some thoughts on it too. So Austin, let me just open the floor for you. Thoughts on the next Auburn athletic statue to come to campus, and obviously in the realm of women's sports, anything that you have around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for lack of deserving, right? Like, it's one thing to say we need a women's athletic statue because we need a women's athletic statue. And while I'm a big proponent of we should celebrate what's equal of both, there has to be some merit to it, right? And thankfully, and without any of a doubt, Auburn has merit on the women's athletic side and has for decades. And so I think that there is the only difficult choice here is who you're going to pick, and how many can you get done in the next decade, because there's certainly plenty of names that are deserving and that could get one. I think everyone's talking about Ruthie Bolton, and I think that is a clear and concise name that is going to get. I'd be really surprised if it's not Ruthie Bolton.
Can we just I don't know how you even don't go there to start off with a women's statue.
I mean, she epitomizes so much of what being an Auburn woman is. Had plenty of athletic success of her own right and of her teams. It makes too much sense, and Auburn's kind of already has one with Charles in the basketball area. There's room right there logistically. Ruthie makes so much sense. Others I thought of when it first came out. Vicky Orr is also in the basketball sense.
Yep.
I think she'd have plenty of room to stand on. I see
what you did there. Room to stand. Come on now. Did you tee that up on purpose?
I mean, I was a little concerned you wouldn't get there, but thank you very much. I think, I would really, really, really like to see, because we've started to hit the diamond sports here with Frank Thomas in a couple weeks. I'd really like to see Casey Cooper get one.
Right.
I think she's more than deserving in softball. And then I'm going to be honest, I don't think it should happen now. I don't think it should happen necessarily as a shoe-in yet. But I think Suni Lee has a has a claim
Right.
here soon, especially if she gets another Auburn national
SUNY
championship.
has a claim here soon. What are you doing tonight? You're making puns left and right. You didn't even try to do that one, but I got to
No,
point it
I
out.
didn't.
Like,
I think if she gets another individual national championship, or she wills Auburn to a team national championship, and then let's just say she wins another gold medal in Paris here soon, Suni Lee can get. Which, how cool is a gymnastics statue to think about?
yeah,
I mean, I'm picturing her on uneven bars in the air, doing her. I'm gonna butcher the Nabieva, whatever her routine is. I mean,
excuse me. What did you just say? Did you just cuss me out on this? Like,
no, I mean, that would be one of the coolest statues that is so unique that everyone would be jealous of. And so you've got Suni Lee, Vicky Orr, Ruthie Bolton, and Casey Cooper, and that's just scratching the surface. I saw many people mention the nun,
Christy Coventry.
Christy Coventry. A swimming statue would be super cool. Although, and
Do you
look,
put the statue in water and watch it actually sink? I mean, like, is this?
Oh, it's like, I mean, we're gonna have water squirting out from everywhere.
She's like
Yes,
doing the stroke, but then there's water shooting out the I don't know, the
we've
sides or
made
something.
this a statue and a fountain.
Oh my goodness, can you
But
imagine?
look, and I know that we're focused on women's sports and women's statues right here, but I mean, if we have a swimming statue and Rowdy Gaines doesn't get a swimming statue, I don't really know what we're doing here.
Amen. Amen.
But
amen.
so maybe we do them at the same time. We have a big swimming statue day, fountain statue day. But I mean, that's just scratching the surface. Susan Nunnally is definitely a revered person on Auburn University's campus and has been around for a long time. I think a lot of people would love to see her get one. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options, and so no one can go wrong. I think, as long as we recognize that we have plenty of women's athletic success and there are many options to choose from, and that we build it up to be something we continually upgrade and continually add more of for those that deserve it and that have merit to get one.
Right.
And I think Auburn's set to pump out as many as they want to.
Well, and it goes beyond that because there are so many people that you could make a case for. Mel Rosen and Hutzel. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the original. There are so many people in Auburn's history that deserve their honors. I mean, we've got two open spaces next to some football coaches' statues that are clearly left there for who's to come.
Right.
And Mike Donahue, and in my opinion, will be Mike Donahue and help me, George Petrie. Would be I believe would be. So this is a bigger conversation that we could just have all day. But obviously the interest was around women's statue. And let me I'm going to speak for myself here. So I'm leaving Austin out of this because this could be a little bit of a controversial thing. I think there are some out there that push this narrative just for the sake that we have to have one because we have to all have equality and all this stuff. And I agree with that to some extent. But the fact of the matter is that there are deserving candidates because of Auburn's history with these individuals, and not just with them here in their time here. I think you've got to do something at a bigger level for Auburn because of Auburn, but also like kind of come back around. The nun to me is the best example of that. This
100%.
She's made her whole life. Ruthie is starting to come back into the picture after she's, everything she's been through in her life and being on the world stage, and is coming back around and be involved again. That's a great example right there as well. Suni has still got some time. I think if she does the track that she's doing right now, it'll be just a matter of time before that happens. So there are, should they be graduates? Should they accomplish this? What are those bigger things? Everyone's going to have their different opinions, but the point remains that, the next statue probably should be someone from women's athletics, and I think it's going to be Ruthie.
If it's not Ruthie, I'll just be shocked. But I mean, I think that there is absolutely plenty of choices to choose from, plenty to set a timeline and say, okay, this one's going to be Ruthie. It's clear in a way she's a favorite. But these next 3 or 4 we have planned out. Let's get the ball rolling.
Yep.
We just had the Auburn softball Jane B. Moore Invitational. Miss Jane B. Moore made Auburn women's athletic success her life up until the day she passed away. And so Miss Jane B. Moore would be an absolutely fantastic one we didn't mention as well. So there is not a lack of options by any means. And I think that is really important to bring up because we discredit these women by just saying they need a statue because they're a woman. We discredit everything they did for Auburn and everything they did on their own by just saying we have to have an equal amount of men's and women's statues because of equality. These women worked their tails off and did some incredible things, regardless of if they're a
And
man
they're
or a
still
woman.
doing incredible things too.
Exactly, whether they're a man or a woman. So let's not discredit their success just because of their gender. And so I am thrilled to hear this, because I'm thrilled to hear that Auburn's recognizing some incredible women in its history.
And let me just, to round out this topic, mention this. We know that there is, and to what degree and what this is going to look like, we don't know yet, but some improvements coming for practice facilities for Neville Arena. I can imagine there's probably going to be some other things that come along with that. And that would probably be the perfect time to maybe, I want to say reimagine, but put a focus about, where are these statues going to go? Basketball, gymnastics, or otherwise, and other women's statues, where does that fit best? Clint and I talked a little bit about the logistics of going to find these places, because not everybody goes to the swimming and diving facility. Right. A big conversation that is very worth having at some point, and we're going to have to dive deeper into it as these things materialize a little bit. But for now, we're excited, and we hope that we're talking about whether it's the Nun, Ruthie, somebody else in the very near future. There's some very deserving candidates to get a statue at Auburn.
That's right.
Topic number 2 on the night. It is March, which means March Madness. And yes, the NCAA tournament is still a week. Well, actually, technically, week and a half. Week and a half from being, but the SEC tournament is here in 3 days. Sorry. Yeah. The big dance is still a week and a half away, but it starts really now, because the conference championships, their tournaments, factor into this heavily.
Yes.
And the SEC tournament is decided. We're recording this on a Sunday night. Everything got figured out the Saturday before, and we know where Auburn will find itself in the SEC tournament. And so what I thought would be fun for us to do, just kind of take an overarching look at it and maybe make a little bit of a prediction, if we feel like it, about what's going to happen. Here's my initial thoughts. I shared these in a short earlier today on social media, that I don't know that Auburn could have found themselves in a tougher side of the bracket, but that's traditionally what you want. Your 1 seed's supposed to technically have the easiest route because they earned it. That's Alabama. Pains me to say it, but it's the truth. And but other than that, I thought we would just kind of walk through it and look at it a little bit. But any thoughts just to open up about the SEC tournament bracket, Austin?
Well, I did. One aside is I did think about the last time you and I decided to pick the SEC bracket and go back and forth on a recorded video on which way we thought things would go. The tournament was canceled the next day due to COVID-19. So maybe we don't go all the way through the bracket this time, and just we can be not superstitious, but just a little.
I just coughed too. Oh no.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
COVID 20. Here we go.
Can I? Okay, sorry. Can I just, since this is a stream of consciousness show, apparently, I won't tell you exactly where I was when the news started breaking that things were shutting down, and I said March Madness is going to be canceled, but it was right behind this wall, and I won't tell you what I was doing. It's not anything inappropriate. I'm just it's TMI. I will never. It's those moments in time that you just like sit there and you're like, I will always remember this moment. And I'm sad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sad. I'm where I am and doing what I'm doing when this moment happened, when March Madness got canceled. So,
or like if it's something where like you're having your wisdom teeth out and you plan all your wisdom teeth surgery around March Madness, because you're going to be sitting at home anyway and you just want to watch basketball all day. I would hate for that to happen to anybody.
None of that. We get basketball.
But this year we got the SEC tournament. It's back in Nashville, not in like Tampa or wherever other these places they keep experimenting with the SEC tournament. We're keeping it in Nashville. Bridgestone Arena is perfect for the SEC tournament.
It is.
It's neutral. I don't care if you're Florida and you want it in Tampa every now and then. We're not doing it. Everybody hates it. The SEC tournament is back in Bridgestone Arena starting on Wednesday. Auburn is not playing on the first day, Kyle. That is something that could not be said just a short time ago, that Auburn is not playing on the first day and could be out within a matter of hours.
Right. And Bruce Pearl teams, are not foreign to starting on the first day and making a little bit of a surprising run.
That's right.
So it should show you that really Bruce has just found his sweet spot is on the extremes of what you can happen in the SEC tournament, either just falling flat on your face or just either
Yep.
surprising everybody or doing as well as you thought they might have. I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to say that Auburn's probably not going to win the tournament this year, just
Yeah.
given how the season's gone in SEC and seeing how the other teams are out there and given the side of the bracket that they're on. I mean, let me just throw this out to you folks. Arkansas, yes, they have struggled as well this year. This is Auburn's first game. That's a tough draw for your first game. 7 versus 10. Auburn's the 7 seed. Arkansas is the 10 seed. If you win that one, you're just facing probably the highest ranked and surging team in the SEC because Alabama's kind of, I won't call them struggling, but slowed down a little bit. Texas A&M in your second game if you win the first game. If that wasn't enough, you probably are going to end up playing Kentucky or Vanderbilt, who's come on strong at the end too. And if that was enough, if you somehow make it to the final day of the SEC tournament, you find yourself probably playing Alabama, who just walk through the other side of the bracket, which to me seems very, very easy for them. So what a road, man. I mean,
What it's a road, and it's so hard to believe Arkansas is the 10 seed in the SEC tournament, but that's their draw, and I think it's a tough draw, but I think it's got a chance for Auburn. I like that they're playing on Thursday because they've been able to build some momentum here over the last. Yes, they lost at Alabama. Yes, they had lost a few games in succession before that, but Auburn was starting to figure it out. The Kentucky game aside, we're just not even going to mention that one. The few game they've been in every game, and especially with
Kate from crying for that game.
The momentum that they're coming off of this Tennessee game, where you had to go get that game and you had to go get a quad one win to really punch your ticket to the tournament. I don't want Auburn waiting until Friday to play. I would love to be a top 4 seed, but I feel like we've seen before that time off really isn't the best thing. You've got that time where you're in a rhythm, and Auburn's used to playing these Saturday and then Tuesday, Wednesday weekday games. Well, there's no games on Tuesday, and Wednesday means you really suck. So Thursday is your next best choice. Thursday is your next best choice.
Don't hold back.
No, look, those bottom 4 teams suck, Kyle. I'm not going to.
They do. They're really bad.
I can say that because Auburn used to be there. But so that's the point you want to be at, and you want to keep building momentum. I think Bruce wants that. I think this coaching staff wants to get the guys, stay focused, get back out on the court and play ball. And then if you can win that first game, you've already got the momentum. You've got your legs are fresh after playing a basketball game the day before, while these other teams have been, sitting around waiting. And so it's all a catch-22.
Right.
But I like where Auburn's at for this tournament. And I think that they can make some noise. I feel really good that they are in the NCAA tournament. They won yesterday. They did what they needed to do, and they are in. The SEC tournament now will be about how high they can move up seeding. I think they're set. Their floor is set. It's unless they just get absolutely obliterated by
which
Arkansas,
is possible by Arkansas. Let's be honest.
Could happen. But I also believe with this Auburn team and this Arkansas team, Auburn can give it to them just as much. I think that could really happen on Thursday. Not saying it's going to, not saying it's even likely. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that both sides could absolutely take the other to the woodshed. And so I'm looking forward to it. I really like the position Auburn's in, and it's March, Kyle. And I love March.
Well, and just to reiterate this for folks, I want to tell you that the way that the seeding happened, and because it's all figured out by how everybody performs, should show you how competitive this league has been. If you had told me Vanderbilt would be a higher seed in the SC tournament than Arkansas, I would have laughed at you. I would have said Arkansas would have been at bottom number 3. But that just goes to show you how well some of these teams have overperformed and made this much more competitive. Auburn fans, you've got, depending on how far you go, Auburn versus Arkansas is going to be a great matchup. Auburn versus Texas A&M is going to be a great matchup. So would Auburn versus Kentucky, because those guys are going to be motivated to wipe that embarrassment clear again. Now, if Dylan Cardwell's not back to help out with Oscar Shibwe, it's a moot point. But, there are a lot of opportunities for really good basketball in this SEC tournament. So that's my encouragement to you as Auburn fans, but SEC fans too. Enjoy this tournament. The big dance is coming. We know we're all waiting for that. I will be parked in front of my recliner from the moment it
Yes.
starts to the moment it ends. But the SEC tournament is going to be a lot of fun this year, and I am looking forward to it, despite how Auburn may or may not perform in it. All right, let's move on to topic number 3. We like to throw some things at you that maybe aren't directly sports related, but we'll find a way to tie it back, I'm sure. A little bit of news come out this week. We'll credit to the Opelika Auburn News and a story from John West about a new hotel coming to the downtown Auburn skyscape. If that's what you want to call it, landscape, skyscape. It'll look different. That's what I'm trying to get across to you right now. It's important for a variety of different reasons. It's not just we want to, give it free advertisement that's coming, but it's replacing something that was very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts in the Auburn family. It'll drastically change the look there. So the news breaking, the Graduate Auburn Hotel will open up in 2024 on the site of the former Anders Bookstore location. And I'm sure many of the other little smaller buildings behind it. And McDonald's will now be engulfed by tall buildings on both sides of it. So Austin, your thoughts about a new hotel, a new luxury hotel, it seems like, coming to the Auburn skyscape?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I mean, it's sad to think about, the Anders bookstore no longer being a staple of Auburn. And I mean, that's, unfortunately in the digital age of things, which we're thankful for in some areas, that's how we're bringing you this right here.
Yeah.
But that's just the way things have moved, especially in the education world. And so bookstores aren't necessarily a thing unless you want a new t-shirt, and you can get those also online. But this Graduate Hotel seems like a good addition to the Auburn city landscape. The Graduate Hotel, for those who don't know, their business model is picking college towns. So they are very much focused around providing a hotel experience for families that come in, or people to see games, or graduation weekends, things that are centered around things that all encapsulate being in a college town. There's one in Athens, Georgia. There's one in Oxford, Mississippi. There's one in Knoxville, Tennessee. It is their thing. And so I think it was a matter of time. And when you were talking about that article, to Opelika Auburn News, one of the spokespersons for the Graduate Hotel Company said, we knew we were coming to Auburn. We knew Auburn was a priority. It was a matter of picking the right spot, the right location, the right time. And as much as we're going to miss the Anders Bookstore, Kyle, I mean, there is not a more premier it's gone. Oh, it's a hole right now, folks. It is a 12-foot massive deep hole. But that is a premier spot. I mean, you are literally across the street from Auburn University. So I have no doubt it'll do well. I hope that it brings a lot of jobs and a lot of business to the city of Auburn as an Auburn resident. And I'm looking forward to it. So it's a matter of the kind of things there's things I do not ever want to see Auburn lose. I don't ever want to see Auburn lose Sanford Hall, the chapel, different little things that make Auburn that are iconic and specific. But I think there's also a point to where the change is inevitable and the growth of certain things are inevitable.
Right.
As long as you don't lose your value and lose what makes you. In this case, Auburn and the Auburn spirit. And so, it was going to happen, and I'm okay with it. I'm interested to see how well it fits. And I do think it'll be a pretty good success.
Right. Well, and there's two ways you could approach this, right? We can look at pictures of what downtown Auburn looked like back at the very beginning of time for them. And it's completely different. It was completely different 20 years ago to that first picture. So, everybody has to deal with these changes, right? And, so the next generation, what it looks like now will always be their Auburn, so this is a cycle. Like we don't shy away from that reality. We understand it. But then there's the grumpy old man side, the crotchety old man side that we bring in of taking away all these things that I grew up with. And I think that's something that we're always going to go with. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm shocked that the Anders Bookstore, went away. It was hardly ever full. And I knew individuals that worked there. I knew individuals that owned the place. I knew, I had fond memories there. I spent a lot of time there because I lived right behind it and would go in there to get school supplies, to go get gear, things like that. We've even worked with them at E2C Network one time. So it didn't shock me that it left, but it's just, one of those little things that is gone that you
Yep.
grew up with during your time at Auburn. So it makes it sad. Now, I will say what I do like that's happening with this hotel, and it's already happened with, I'm forgetting that. What are the ones across the street right next to J&M? Help me, Austin, the tall one.
Across
Look,
the street from.
well, or the other side of the corner, Toomer's Corners, by the bank, by J&M
Oh yeah,
bookstore.
those are condos. They're not
Yes,
necessarily
but then
hotels,
you've
but
got the
yeah.
Collegiate Hotel as well
Hmm.
down there as well. They're really kind of, this is going to make some people mad probably. There's a certain atmosphere that takes on downtown Auburn at night that it got a little grungy at times. And I
Hmm.
think this is helping keep that at bay. And yes, they are going to be very expensive, and I probably will never be staying at them. But it'll make Auburn look pretty, and it doesn't look like from this picture, at least the rendering. Now, when you stand in front of it, it will probably feel differently. It doesn't look like it's going to be towering over anything. Not like some of those almost
Sure.
eight-story housing units that are a little bit further down in downtown. So to me, it kind of fits, and I can already see it fitting into the skyscape a little bit. You look on the top of the rendering, and you can see they've got
Yep.
seating up there, which is going to be beautiful views of Toomer's
Oh
Corner,
gosh.
of Hargis
Yes.
Hall, of I'm trying to think of them all, of Sanford Hall,
Yep.
the
I'm sure you'll be
aerospace
able to
engineering,
see
all that,
Davis. Yep. I'm sure you'll be able to peek at the stadium. Um,
all
all
those.
those, and that I think is a really good positive side of a lot of these tall buildings. We've talked about the Laurel Hotel and Spa on here before. I've
Yep.
not been up there, but I cannot imagine the view on top of it. That was the Collegiate's claim to fame for a long time, and the Laurel Hotel and Spa said, "Well, we're going to go in front of you, and we're going to double you in size." So they kind of lost that part, but that's definitely a trend. And so, I like you said, this looks like 3 stories when you say 4. I guess if you when you count the bottom,
Yeah. The
5 if you count the rooftop.
math is hard, but
Uh,
yes.
yeah, so it doesn't look too big. I think it'll probably like perfect. You mentioned the other side of McDonald's. I think it'll probably perfectly be about the same height. Which, yeah, you have to wonder how much longer the McDonald's has
I don't think
got in it.
McDonald's is long for this world.
I don't think that the Magnolia McDonald's is going to make it much longer.
Now, the Checkers over on Glen and Gay Street, I believe is what it was. If I'm
Yeah,
thinking about, that,
yeah,
or was it Checkers or Rallies, one of the
it was
two.
Checkers. Yeah,
That it's burned down like 5. It's gone now, obviously, but like that thing survived since the dawn of time. So maybe McDonald's can
yeah.
make it.
It
Maybe.
survived and it was vacant for a long time, so it's pretty impressive. But yeah, I think you provide a great perspective on the way Auburn's changed, and the what you said about everyone has their own Auburn, right? Like
Right.
we used to, we've all had the time where we were with our parents and they said, well, this when I was here, and it's like, okay, we get it, but you and I are less than removed from our parents from going to Auburn, and it's like, okay, well, we're already having the when I was here
Yep. Back in
comments,
my
and
day.
back in my day, and that's just natural, like you said, the Auburn of even my younger siblings who just graduated is now drastically changed, and
Right.
so there's no need to get all upset about it. There's plenty of other things to become crotchety old men about. Just come to Kyle and I's seminar every Sunday night at 8-9 Central Eastern Time.
Hey, we've been pretty good the last few episodes. We haven't complained about a lot. And we've had a few things that we could have complained about.
That's right.
This one, I think I've just kind of got numb to it. Honestly, I know it's going to change at this point. I'm kind of ready for the changes to slow down, and maybe this is like one of the last big markers of that. We're going to stop for a little bit and kind of let everybody figure out this is what Auburn looks like now. And I know
Yeah.
change is inevitable, but it looks great. And I would hope, just a pitch out there to any of these hotels with these beautiful skylines. If you want the Auburn Experience podcast to come up there and record a live show,
We'll do it.
We might show how beautiful your backdrop is and do a few pitches for you. I'm just saying,
We'll do it.
You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours kind of thing. That's all I'm saying. But for now, we'll maybe one day we'll get a tour of it or something like that, and we can talk about it. But the skyline will forever look different with the Graduate Auburn Hotel and many other things coming. And obviously, we will find some reason to be crotchety about it, but accept it all the same. We bounced all over the different places in this episode, on episode 26, and we thank you guys for being along the ride with us. On the way out, we always want to remind you where you can find us out there on the social media sphere. Where can they find you, Austin?
Austin G. Scott is where you can find me. That's Austin, the letter G, and Scott is where you can find me anytime you want to complain about something about the Auburn City landscape. I'm more than happy to listen.
I won't listen, but you can still message me on Twitter at Kyle Loomis 24. I'll just probably post a funny GIF at you if I just don't feel like arguing or anything like that. But at Kyle Loomis 24, follow the E2C network everywhere. You can find it literally everywhere. We appreciate those of you that stick with us on all the different things that we do out there. That's it for episode 26 in the books. Until we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.